All right. That worked for so many reasons. He came and he had something to say. He had something to do. Joe came out yesterday with no talent, nothing to point to, and no skill. He brought literally nothing to the table. And that's why it was such a disaster. Eric Eggers joins us from the Government Accountability Office and also the Drilldown podcast that he does with Peter Schweizer. Hey, man, welcome back. How are you, Eric?
I'm okay, although, to tell you, Greg, I'm a little concerned that I might not be the right person to participate in this conversation. I went shopping yesterday for new clothes at a TJ Maxx. So you're going to start talking about like high-end clothing brands, expensive taste. That is not me, unfortunately.
No, you'll have a good appreciation for how stupid it is to spend money on these labels, on stuff that is one of the dumbest investments you can make, clothes. What'd you think of his little foray on The View?
Oh, my gosh. I think it underscores the ongoing, and unfortunately, I guess we have to wait for Jake Tapper's book before we can really have a conversation about just how insane the media's coverage of his cognitive decline was. I mean, honestly, watching him, it's like you forget that's how he was. And that's how he continued to be. And that's the version of Joe Biden that everyone told us is totally fine. I'm not sure if you watched it, Greg, but Chuck Todd went on that leftist Obama Bro podcast, Pod Save America, and he basically admitted that everybody was fine with Joe Biden's cognitive decline because Donald Trump was the opponent. He said, and it's a quote we actually talked about on this week's podcast, he said, if Nikki Haley had been the opponent, you would have had a chorus line of Democrats saying he cannot run again. So that just shows you everybody knew the version of Joe Biden we saw on national television was the version of Joe Biden that was ostensibly running the country or in the office while other people autopilot the country. And everyone looked the other way because their desire to report the truth was trumped by their hatred for Donald Trump.
Well, you mentioned something that has me very frustrated. Jake Tapper and his book. It's going to be a nuclear bomb, right? And he's going to have all the goods and all this stuff. It's going to lay waste to the Democrat Party. I saw Jake Tapper, publicly scold and basically try to shut down Lara Trump when she mentioned that Joe Biden has a cognitive decline. We can all see it. And I don't know if you saw this clip, but Jake totally freaks out and says, I'm not going to let you say anything like that. You have no business saying that. Do you remember this? Have you seen this?
Of course. No, the clip, anyone who, I have the internet, Greg, so does the rest of the country. So, yeah, unfortunately for Jake Tapper, his hypocrisy is not only well documented, it's about to be recirculated. I hope they hold up transcripts of that interview every time he goes anywhere. They should protest outside CNN. He shouldn't be allowed to do anything without being reminded that he is exactly the problem he's allegedly reported on. I saw somebody tweet that Jake Tapper's book, this deep investigation, is like investigating yourself for murder. And I think that's pretty much a good analysis.
I know, but it's weird. When we heard about the book, that was kind of the story about a month ago, right? The early excerpt. There was like a little bit. The book was teased about a month ago. Now it's coming out next week. And I hear Republicans are like, bracing for the book. They're really excited about it because it's gonna show how corrupt the Democrats are. I don't think this man deserves a successful book. You know what I mean? And it looks like it's poised to be one. And that frustrates me a lot. And it's the kind of the swamp taking care of the swamp in its own way. I mean, you're right. It's a murderer investigating his own murder, but, it's willing witnesses who willingly forgot or are overlooking the murder.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen, Greg, is this book is going to burnish Jake Tapper's continued reputation, not as a journalist, but as a continued successful author of fiction. Jake Tapper has written other fictional books before, and I think this one will be closer to that genre than anything that breaks news. It's insane. And I can't believe more people, it's maybe not dissimilar. Maybe this is like the journalistic version of everybody from Silicon Valley going on Joe Rogan's podcast and growing out their hair and using the word bro more and trying to rebrand themselves as being in line with Donald Trump. This is maybe Jake Tapper's attempt to say, no, look, the media can be fair. We will report honestly when everyone knows. That's why I thought the Chuck Todd interview was so insightful. He acted like the Trump administration and the media were not in cahoots with Joe Biden, while in fact then admitting the opposite.
All right. So let me ask you this. What do you think? And here, when Joe Biden came out yesterday, it was just it was horrendous. Here's a little sample again. Cut 5, if you don't mind. Cut 5.
It was it wasn't a slam dunk, and look,
and it goes on like this. It goes on like this. But what do you think? Why is he going public right now? He does not do well in public. He does not do well when he speaks in public, and he's worse than ever. What's the mission? What is he doing?
Yeah, here's what I honestly believe, and I think that some of the reporting that has come out about like that summer and him having to make his decision: do I get out of the race? Do I stay in the race? What do I do? I'll tell you 2 words are the reason why I think he's out in public right now, and they were actually sitting next to him during one of the segments of that interview. Jill Biden. I think that this is not about Joe Biden. It's not about Joe Biden's desire to be relevant. Joe Biden's content to nap at the beach, go home, watch an episode of Matlock, have some applesauce for dinner, and call it a day. Jill Biden is the one that's out there going on the cover of all these glamour magazines, having these photo shoots. Hunter Biden needs to run the business, so Joe needs to have the perception of legitimacy and power, or at least maybe play political kingmaker. The Bidens need Joe to be relevant for them to continue to make money. That's what their business has been for the last 50 years. They didn't get new skill. They're not like the Obama-era coal miners who learned how to code. This is what they do. So if Joe Biden's out of business, so are they. And so I think Jill Biden loves the spotlight and also the luxury clothes. To pay for the luxury clothes, they need money. To make money, they need Joe to still be out and about. And that's what yesterday was about, unfortunately, even though I think it only further damaged his continuing declining reputation.
No, that makes total sense. But yeah, there's and I think she even realizes, wow, this is not nice. They're not as kind to us as they used to be. She was awkward, and by the end of the interview, I think she was mad. She was and she made these gaffes. Here, listen to this. Do me a favor. Cut 7, please. Cut 7.
But even after that, the polls just show me down by 2 points.
And Hannah, Joe came on. I went onto the stage after the debate. I mean, we all saw it. It was terrible. So Joe looked at me and he said, I'll use screwed up. He said, he didn't say that.
By gaffe, I mean the inadvertent telling of the truth. Right? I mean, and she said the opposite that night. Joe, you did great. You answered all the questions. I'm so proud of you. And like these kinds of moments are further destroying them. And it's kind of fascinating to watch. Who would hire them? Who's going to hire them after this? Like, I don't know. What do you do? They're screwed.
Well, you're forgetting that she is a doctor, Greg. Okay, she's Dr. Joe Biden. So she's clearly got a raft of credentials and expertise. People are lining up. You know who we need on this? Dr. Jill Biden. Can we get Jill? Yeah, that's not happening. That's common. No one's having that conversation in a boardroom, unfortunately. Maybe she should pull like a Michelle and Craig Robinson. They should start their own podcast. I actually would tune in to listen to 25 minutes of Joe doing exactly what you just played multiple clips of doing. Well, it is, unfortunately, it's like a train wreck. And it's one you cannot turn away from.
Well, there's one thing, and I think you pointed it out before. How did they get Joe to leave this race? He went into hiding for 96 hours. All kinds of people visited him. What kind of deals did he extract? What kind of, right? And, she did just sign up with the Milken Institute, right? I mean, so I wonder, yeah, because they had to get him off the stage, and they did, and he went along with it. How did they do it? What promises were made? Eric Eggers, you are amazing. The Drilldown podcast. We can get it wherever we get our podcasts, right?
You absolutely can. And Greg, you're amazing. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for your continued support for the country and our podcast. Always good to talk to you and your audience.
Thank you, sir. And our best to your buddy there, Peter Schweizer. You guys are great. Thank you. And we'll be right back.